Hey, this is Mike Gingrich with another Live with Mike tip time here, talking about what you do after you've got traffic to your website. Okay, step one, you want to always continue to work at growing traffic to your website, and that's a topic for another time. Content marketing is going to be key there, optimization, search engine optimization, all those pieces. But once you get them onto your site, what are you going to do with them there? And the key is that you want to convert them into some method that you can stay in touch with them, give them more information and build more rapport, so you kind of walk them down that funnel. And we'll talk about two key ways to do that, two key things that you really need to evaluate on your website today. Okay, so the first one comes from our latest blog post on Digital Hill. So if you go over to digitalhill.com, click on the resources button, and then you're going to get to the blog. The topic there is how to use opt-in forms successfully for lead generation. So I want to talk about that today. And so a lot of language there, but an opt-in form is some type of form where they're giving you a name and an email address, and so they're opting in to basically get added to a list so you can send them emails afterwards. So again, so that's a key way. That's the first step of a soft lead, getting them from a visitor to now you know something about them, their email address, and you can stay in touch with them by sending them emails because they've opted into the list. The key mistake that most people make is not understanding the value that people put on their email address, and the fact that they guard that these days. Okay, because there's an overwhelming amount of email, and how much email you've gotten today already, but I've gotten a ton, and so people are taking care of what they give their email out to, how often you're going to be, and are you a credible source? So there's a couple things that you want to do. This is step one of what you need to do after you get people on your website, is to offer them something of value. But let's talk about that. You want to get them on your email list. This is an option to stay in touch with them. The first thing you can do is you need to create an offer the visitor can't refuse, something that showcases value. Typically, you need to be able to give them something, some type of information, some type of report, something of in a B2C scenario, it might be some type of discount, but don't assume that 5%, 10% is going to do it. I mean, you got to be substantial to get that. But in the B2B world, it's going to be more of an intellectual value, something that they're going to have a guide, checklist, information they'd be interested in that they can go and take a look at. So it's got to be the something of value. You have to think about it this way. I know there's a lot of things in the news today about the postal service, okay? And you got lots of shipping options with, Amazon, Prime, all those kind of things. But what the fact is, they're not free, right? You got to pay for those. And so you need to be thinking about, what do you want to give someone in exchange? Something of value that you're paying them basically to get their email address. That's the exchange there, is that you need to give something that's worth enough that they're going to want to give you an email address. Okay. Second thing related to that is to think carefully about the placement of that. All right. So people have opt-in forms. Your contact form is not an opt-in form. Okay. The opt-in form is going to flow somewhere. You got to move to the site on a specific page. So where do you want that placement now? There can be different things. There can be a pop-up form. Then you have to think about that. It might be in the middle of the content. If it's a blog post, it might be at the end of the blog post. It might be on the right sidebar of a blog post. If it's on a desktop, what's that going to do on the mobile? Think about those pieces. So placement on the page, you're going to have to take a look at that to see, and probably do some experimentation, what is converting best for you. So don't just assume that because you put a form at the bottom of the page or on the contact, definitely not just on the contact page, that you're going to get people to convert. Not going to happen. All right, so placement is critical. Third thing is timing, and that kind of comes back to if you do those pop-up boxes there, because when the box comes for someone for you to give your offer is critical. Okay, and you have to test this as well. And one of the things that you can test and watch with is your Google Analytics. So the time spent on a page, the bounce rate. So if people are spending, 58 seconds on your page, that, okay, so your offer has to come somewhere within there. If it's a long blog post and it takes somebody 2 minutes to read, well, generally people are leaving before they've gotten through that, right? So when you want to put that timing, it can be right when they load the page. It could be a number of seconds after they load the page. It could be middle of the page. It could be on exit intent. Okay, you need to test those type of things. But when is the timing that gets you the biggest bang for your buck to get people opt in? The opt-ins, so it's a combination. You have to test there of, is the offer good enough? Okay, is the location right, and is the timing right? All those pieces play into that. And then the last piece of tip on that for your sign up opt-in box that is critical is timing. I'm sorry, building trust. We already talked about timing. Building trust. Okay, so your offer hopefully builds trust. The article kind of builds trust. That's what you do in a content marketing scenario. And but one thing that you might want to consider is social proof. All right, so people tend to feel better about things. Look at your Amazon reviews. You ever go to reviews and say, oh, this one had 20 reviews, this one has 400 reviews. I think I'm going to go with the company that had 400 reviews. Okay. Same thing applies to even signing up for an email address. If your list has grown, you've been working at it for a while and you got over 1,000, maybe you need to put that in the pop-up box that says join over 1,000 weekly readers and subscribe now. If it's bigger than that, 5,000, whatever that's some social proof. So you might want to put that in there as your list has grown. But think of a way to build trust, to show social proof. Okay, so that's opt-in method number one, to be able to follow up with people who come to your website because you've driven traffic there, and now you want to stay in touch with them to kind of nurture that along. So an opt-in box to get them on the email list. Okay, second one is one that let me put this URL in the comments here for you. This is email opt-in. All right, so that one's going to be in the comments section. And the second one I want to talk about today is browser push notifications. So this is a newer method of staying in touch with people, and it's similar to having an app on your smartphone where you allow push notifications so that you get notified when there's something from that company that they put that information, it comes up into your notification. So browsers have that on desktop. It can be very handy. They also do work on mobile when you have that browser open, you get that information. But let's just say that you're on a desktop computer and you're reading a post, and there you might see a box for to subscribe to new posts with browser push notifications, and it's typically going to be one click and it's done. And then when a new post is rolled out, then they would be alerted through a browser push notifications, and you have some control over that. So I've written about that before. I outlined one, and I typically recommend a service called OneSignal. And but browser push notifications are another way to get a opt-in. Okay, so it's a more modern way. You know a little bit less information about them because your browser's doing the work and saying, hey, this person subscribed, let's send them that. So you don't have an email address or a phone number, that type of thing from that lead, but you can build trust over time, and you don't have to have a offer to get someone to necessarily subscribe for that as well. There's less of a barrier to entry at this point in time, and there's a willingness to get those because it's not in the inbox. So you may want to experiment also with browser push notifications, and got an article on that as well. And again, these are keys that you can set up. How that works, what the messaging is. Again, social proof can be helpful there. Hey, we've got over 600 subscribers. They're on push notifications. Join this list today to get the latest information. And those are working across browsers. Chrome, Firefox, Safari, all the major ones, even Edge as well. Not that I recommend that browser, but it is out there anyway. So you might, that's browser push notifications is the second one. And then that first one I talked about was email opt-in forms. So you want to take a look at that. Opt-in Monitor is a great one on that. Munch has forms on that. We have our Waftio tool that does that. Gravity Forms has options with those pieces. But again, you're trying to take a look at a way to get in front of people at the right time with the right message, with the potentially right offer to get them to take a next step. This is not the purchase step. This is a step to give you something of value, like your email address, like they're going to get notifications from you, so that you can then build trust, offering good content over time. And then these things need to work together. So maybe then there's another follow-up opt-in later on that is for people who have, that you can track that they have opted in, they've seen posts, and you want to take them to a specific offer down there via email, that type of thing. So you want to work at those pieces. You can't just have traffic and expect people to come back, expect people to sign up. You can't just say people will join your email list. I hate those where it just says subscribe to our email list and that's it. Okay, why? You got to make a case for that. You got to show some value to that. Typically, you got to offer something for that. So that's what I wanted to cover today. Those two posts I put in the comments section there are key elements to help you dig in further, learn more about that, read about that. Again, all those things can be configured, set up, and you can do some tracking in those pieces. And that's the way to success moving forward. So hopefully that's helpful today. This was Live with Mike. Take care. Have a great one.